You're no fun. I'll beat you up. Tell my mama on you.
Always hot, no matter what time of the year it is. That's what people don't understand. That hot literally means they're hot, not just look good.
No, darling, that is actually the change of life, and I'm ready to change my life. So, let's talk about miracles and Star Wars. And. Hey.
And Star Wars.
Wake me up. Before you go. Oh, there's John. I know that guy. I got a great book by him. Tonight, folks, we've got an interesting lineup, so I hope you are sitting down because we've got some absolutely eyebrow-raising, mind-boggling, bone-chilling,
bone-crunching,
don't look, you might scream, visions of miracles. Actually, some fun factoids, some interesting evidence of life out there. Our guest on our Fast Five group of entertaining people tonight is John Carpenter, or John S. Carpenter.
The main guest?
Yes, main guest.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
not to be confused with the Halloween guy.
That's right. He doesn't write about vampires that I know of, but then again, hey, I don't know what's on the menu next. Be Not Afraid is a book that absolutely covers some of the most amazing miracles, incredible, unbelievable tales. Can I elaborate more without you laughing, John? It starts from the whole premise, does God really exist? And it takes you from there to all these fabulous little evidences all over the world, but, they're not so little to us. So basically it comes from a scientific and observational standpoint, documenting these and talking about the communion wine turning into blood and that sort of thing, and actual hosts. And John Carpenter himself is a psychiatric therapist. He's been doing this for years. He's got his own blog show since 2014. We're going to let him give you a little brief intro about himself so I don't botch this up too terribly by trying to read the ticker tape here, folks. But we really want to welcome him. He's done a lot of hard work on this book, Be Not Afraid, to follow with the footprints of heaven. And a lot of the stories are going to be very entertaining. A lot of them totally Catholic in nature. Some of them haven't really gotten the big man stamp yet, but it's going to be fun to talk about and go over. And this book of his includes 80 photos. So all you people who like to buy like the vampire movies or, buy those little comic books with photos, this has photos, okay?
For you children.
That's right. For you children that like to point and look, oh, look at Barbie's hairdo. Oh, look at what is he wearing on his head. Okay? Be not afraid. Welcome, John S. Carpenter.
Hey, thank you, Farah. Thank you, Ken.
Hey, we want you to meet our friends that we hang out with every week. We've got Deb Johnson, who has been with Ken so long she can't remember, and, she still is a spring chicken. Hey, Deb, you there? Did we lose Deb already?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, how are you?
We're great.
She's throwing Una scraps so Una, her big horse in her living room, doesn't go orf, orf. And, of course, we have Mr. Michael Norton, fabulous counselor, pastor. He just wrote a great book, too. Welcome. Can you say hi? Hey.
Say hello to our audience. Hello to our audience.
Hello, audience.
Hello, studio audience. You're paid to clap.
Golf clap. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, let's get ourselves prayed in here. And
that's right. We got to whip it out with St. Michael. Wow.
In the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. St. Michael, the archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the malice and the snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. Be thou, Prince of the heavenly host, by the divine powers of God, cast into hell Satan and all the other evil spirits who roam through the world, seeking to ruin the souls. Amen.
Amen.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Amen.
I suppose I should add that we dedicate this show to the Blessed Mother, the Mother of Jesus. Consecrate this show, our broadcast, our ministry,
That's right. If she was good enough for him, she's good enough. Way good enough for us.
All right. We're up to the first picture. She's funny tonight. But she's always funny. That way, because I don't have to be.
I just want to poke you tonight. You're just so deserving.
Yes,
let's have fun with John.
All right, John.
Hello.
We may begin. We have a
John,
series of images on here.
Yeah, we got a lot of images, like Ken was saying, and we're kind of excited because it's not very often you get to talk about real miracles. People think this is the stuff of, the grimoire, the hell books, or how about, the sword and stone. They think of this kind of stuff as kind of being fantasy and mythological. Tell us a little bit about what got you interested in studying this stuff and how you tracked it down.
Well, I actually became Catholic just in 2010, and the nice thing about the Catholic faith is they document so many of these supernatural and unusual experiences. They keep track of it, they take it seriously, they document it well, and they go after it well. And I've always had an interest in strange things and miraculous things, and as I started studying some of these things, especially the appearances of Blessed Virgin Mary, and for anyone out there who doesn't think that happens, we'll have to do a show or two or three just on that, because I have tons of information that will blow listeners away on that.
That would be fun.
And you have to remember, as a psychiatric therapist, I know if someone's delusional or psychotic or something like that.
Yeah.
And
I got
this is
that
not
right.
crazy.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Yeah, anytime you deal with a church, you got to know the difference.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And not just me, but any other professional that looked into those things also said, "Oh, these people are normal, healthy, they're fine." Yeah. So it's a general, solid consensus on that. But the miracles we're going to talk about tonight are church miracles, things that happened actually in the church, especially during Mass. And most people are familiar with a communion process in the Catholic Church. It's part of the Mass, but in other churches, where I was for most of my life as a Methodist, it was a communion wafer and grape juice. And
oh yes, that's pretty popular.
Yeah. And in the Catholic Church, it's unleavened bread, a little disc of it, and wine, which I really appreciate that.
So does my wife, yeah.
So, but the miracles are called Eucharistic miracles because instead of calling it communion in the Catholic Church, they call it the Eucharist. And basically, it's a moment where heaven touches earth during the Mass. And I like thinking it like that, it's no wonder there's miracles happening during this process if truly heaven is touching earth at that moment.
Yes.
And we are actually part of the great feast that our Lord provides through this communion process. So anyway, there are about 140 plus, that's 140 plus accepted by the Vatican Eucharistic miracles that have happened during these services ever since, going back to almost like 100 AD up to like last year.
Oh my gosh.
So there's plenty of them. In fact, I know of a few that happened at churches and the priest didn't want attention, so he swept it under the rug and basically got rid of it because he didn't want all the attention that would come from that miracle.
Oh boy.
Which is just crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy. But so I thought I'd tell some stories and give you some science on it because the science is going to blow you away. And I've probably got enough material for 2 hours, and not, but we'll get in.
We'll get as far as we can.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said we're going to get as much in as we can.
Oh, that's right. So tell me what image you've got up first.
We got image number one. Image number one.
He can't see it. Can you tell him what it is?
Oh, you could just name an image, and I'll just put the slide up.
Well, no, I've got them on my computer here in order.
Okay.
So if you got number one up, I know what that is. shows a priest giving the host to a young man. Is that correct? Is that what you see?
And it looks like it's bleeding.
Right. Okay. So here's the story. Happened in Middelburg, Belgium, in 1374. And a noble and wealthy lady was kind to her servants, but encouraged their spiritual development. So on the first Sunday of Lent, she encouraged them to go to confession and then receive communion. Wow. But one servant named Jean did so only because he feared being disgraced if he did not go. But he skipped confession and just attended communion. And that's a big no-no, of course.
Yeah.
And he knelt at the railing with the others. But when the priest placed the host on his tongue, it turned to flesh, which he was unable to swallow.
Wow.
Frightened by this, he then made the mistake of biting into it, which most people would go, "Oh, God, why did you do that for?"
Yeah.
But he bit into it, and 3 drops of blood fell from his lips and stained the cloth that was draped over the communion railing. Well, the priest, startled by the bloody flesh in his mouth and the dripping blood, retrieved it and respectfully carried it to the altar and placed it in a golden container.
Wow.
Now, Jean found himself instantly blinded. He went blind and was filled with overwhelming remorse. So, if you're a good Catholic, what do? He confessed his sins at the feet of the priest in front of the whole congregation, and his sight was restored immediately due to his sincerity. He was a changed and devout man after that incident. So basically that's what happened, and they've still got the cloth, they've preserved it, they saved those things, they put them under glass, and so you can go and see, the actual blood that came out of that host. So that it's not just some fairy tale, it actually happened, and they have preserved any evidence of it. So that's the first little story. Do you have slide 2?
Yes, I do. Let's bring that up. Oh, no, I don't have slide 2. I have slide 3 and 4. If you want
to... Can you jump to 20 real quick?
Okay, 20...
He's pretty good.
20 is the one... Yeah, 20 I don't have either. I don't have 2 and 20. That's what I was mentioning off air.
Oh, you don't have either one of those?
Yeah, that's the same girl. That's the one I said... girl with...
Yeah, but you don't have it?
No, I'd
No, he's got the one with the guy with the bleeding host and the silver chalice.
Yeah, that's number 19.
Oh, that's number 19?
Well, unfortunately, what I was going to show you was a photo of a recent host turning to flesh and blood on a person's tongue. A actual photo of it. So that's what you're missing. Bad. But anyway... I'll skip over that and go to number 3.
Okay. Here we go.
All right.
We have images 3 and 4. Oh.
Okay. And with 3, this is... Now, sometimes if it didn't bleed, then images would appear on a host. So here you see an actual host. And who does that look like?
Jesus.
Yeah. Well, here's the story. On April 28th, 2001, just so you know it's recent, and this is in India, and the name is really hard to say, Kiratakunam in India. And in this church of St. Mary, they were doing a novena, a set of prayers, and they exposed the host there, and after a few minutes, the priest said, "I saw what appeared to be 3 dots. Then he stopped praying and looked again, and now he saw more than that. He began to see a face. So he he got ready for Mass, and again looked to see what was going on with this host, and now he could see a whole figure, that face that you're looking at there. And he was deeply moved and asked the faithful to kneel and begin praying. He thought to ask the altar server if he noticed anything unusual, and the altar server said, "I see the figure of a man. It looks like the face of Jesus." So the guy goes, "Okay, I guess that's what I'm seeing too." So So
Pretty wild.
it went on, and the image got clearer and clearer. It kept developing as time went on, and finally they were just crying and weeping and praying because they could easily see the face of Jesus in this host. And that's unleavened bread. It shouldn't be creating pictures, okay?
Not on its
And
own.
especially developing in front of your eyes like a Polaroid photo, you know. It's not supposed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at an actual miracle there.
Yeah, it looks like there's like
had
blood coming down from where the crowning of thorns be, like it's enhanced right there. And that's, that's something too.
Yeah. So basically, that's what happened there, and I'm just giving you the short version on these so we can cover a lot. Go to slide 4 now.
Okay.
And you see another face.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
And this one is in India, again, in the year 2013. So real recent, in the district of Kerala, India. And here's the story on this one. The priest was elevating the host for consecration during the 7 a.m. Mass when he noticed a spot on the large bread he used for the consecration. He says, quote, "It became larger and brighter, and soon a face appeared." The priest said he placed the host to one side and continued Mass using another host that was kept in the tabernacle. I don't think he wanted to use that one. He wanted to see what was going to go on with that face. After the Mass, he called the sacristan and asked him what he saw. He told him he saw the face of Jesus. The priest then placed the host in a monstrance, or a container there, and kept it on the altar for adoration. Hundreds of people saw the shining face of a bearded man with long hair. It was black and white, not in color. And the father said the shining face was still seen when he locked the host inside the tabernacle about 11 a.m. And so they were just, he and all the people there, it says their face just doubled after they saw that image appear. I mean, it just really was exciting. So eventually, make a long story short, more than 10,000 people came by that church to witness the face, and it remained there for 9 days and then went away. So we're lucky we have a photo of it right there. You're looking at it. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Very.
All right, let's go to slide 5. I'm never short of information, folks. Never short. All right, here's the story. This is from Rimini, Italy in 1227. This involves St. Anthony of Padua. He was debating a heretic, a disbeliever, who was opposed to the sacrament of the Eucharist.
Wow.
St. Anthony had almost led him to the Catholic faith, but after numerous arguments, the heretic declared, "If you, Anthony, produce a miracle and demonstrate to me that communion is truly the body of Christ, I will completely renounce my heresy and immediately convert to the Catholic faith. Let's make a bet. I'll keep one of my beasts, donkeys there, locked up for 3 days to feel the torments of hunger. Then I'll bring it forth in public and show it food. You will stand in front of it with what you maintain is the body of Christ. If the beast, leaving aside its food, hurries to adore its God, I will share the faith of your church," unquote. Well, divinely inspired, St. Anthony accepted the challenge. At the chosen day and hour, the priest and the heretic entered the grand piazza at the appointed time. A huge crowd of curious people gathered as well. Each man had his group of supporters. St. Anthony was followed by Catholics. The heretic, named Bonovillo, was supported by the Albigensians, who were disbelievers. St. Anthony held a monstrance or container in his hands, which had the consecrated host in it, and you can see that in the picture. And let's see here. And he requested the crowd to be silent. Then he turned to the mule and said, "In the name of your Creator, whom I, unworthy as I am, hold in my hands, I order you, come forward immediately and render homage to the Lord with all due respect, so that the heretic and evildoers will understand that all creatures must humble themselves before their Creator, whom priests hold in their hands at the altar." Now, this animal is starved for 3 days. There's food right in front of it. If that were my dog, he'd go right for the food.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But
Without a doubt.
immediately, as you see in the picture, immediately the mule humbly approached the priest, ignoring or refusing the food, bent its legs, bowed down on its knees before the host. It held its pose reverently for a few minutes. The heretic threw himself at St. Anthony's feet, publicly renouncing the error of his ways, and from that day forward he became one of St. Anthony's most zealous colleagues, approved by the Vatican. Wow.
Yeah.
Cool story, huh?
That's amazing. And like you said, the Catholics record everything.
Yeah, St. Anthony's better than just finding stuff where you lose. Because that's what I grew up thinking. And I was like, hey, I lost something. I say a prayer to St. Anthony, Mom would say. Mm-hmm. And we didn't know that much more about him, at least that I can remember. Such as this story, it's the first time I heard it, or at least I didn't remember it. And hearing him since
Me
I was
too.
very young.
It's just amazing, the reactions of animals. Here's another animal story. If you go to slide number 6,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks like a man beating his beast there at the barn opening.
Yeah.
And here's the story. It happened in Offida, that's Offida, Italy, in 1280. And the actual miracle occurred in Lanciano, nearby, about 60 miles south. There was a lady named Ricciorella who was very unhappy in her marriage, and she tried everything to win the love of her husband. She desperately listened to some bizarre advice. She was told to take a consecrated host from the church home to her kitchen, heat it over a fire, produce a powder from it, and then sprinkle it on her husband's food or drink it. According to this recipe, he would then grow to love and respect her. As strange as that seemed, she was desperate to try anything. Well, Catholics know you're not supposed to take a host out of the service, so that was not a good idea. She attended Mass and allowed the host to secretly fall from her mouth into the top of her dress. Upon arriving home, she placed it on a tile and then heated it over a fire. But, as the sacred host was heated, it did not turn into powder, but rather into a piece of bloody flesh. Horrified, she immediately threw ashes and melted wax onto the tile, but it made no difference. The flesh remained perfectly round within a huge puddle of blood. Desperate to hide the evidence of her sacrilege, she took a linen tablecloth and wrapped it around both the tile and the bloody host. Then she took the bundle outside to the stable and buried it in the garbage pile from the house and the filth from the stalls where they were heaped. So basically, she put it in a dung pile, a compost or dung pile, and had it wrapped up and just put it there. All right? Well, that evening, when her husband, Giacomo, approached the stable with his horse, the animal refused to enter. Despite a severe beating from his master, which is what you see in the picture, the horse stubbornly refused to enter the stable. Finally, the horse relented, but instead of proceeding directly into the stable, it turned sideways, facing the heap of garbage, fell to its knees, as if honoring the garbage pile. Giacomo became violent at this strange sight and accused his wife of putting a spell on the stable that would make animals afraid to enter. But she remained silent. For 7 years, the bloody host remained hidden in that garbage heap, and all the animals who entered or left the stable would turn sideways and bow down on their knees to the pile of garbage for 7 years every time they came or left the barn. And he was so tormented and fed up with this behavior, but he didn't know what else to do. She felt so guilt-ridden over her sin. Finally, she admitted to a priest from the monastery and could hardly talk through her tears. She says, "I have killed God," she cried. When the priest finally understood what had happened, he forgave her and arranged to retrieve the host from the garbage pile. To their surprise, the bloody host, the tile, and the tablecloth were not contaminated or disintegrated after 7 years. It looked like they had just recently been buried. The miracle was honored, protected, and placed in a special container made of silver, placed high atop the main altar in the sanctuary in Ophida, where it still is today.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah.
That
amazing.
is incredible.
Yeah. See, animals know. They know.
Well,
And,
we're Franciscans, so we're all about animals.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Well, you'll like this next one. Go to number 7.
Is this the one with the
7.
fish and the priest
Yeah.
kneeling? Oh, that's so
You'll
pretty.
Yeah. All right. Here's what happened. This is in Alborgorea, Spain, in 1348. Now, a priest was carrying a container with some consecrated hosts inside of it as he traveled to deliver them to some sick people. However, he was crossing a river on the back of his mule when a big rush of water swept him off. And he lost the container. All the hosts spilled out into the river, and he was so upset. I mean, oh my gosh, that's just such a horrible thing to have happen. And they rapidly were carried away down the stream by a strong current toward the mouth of an even bigger river nearby. Well, the priest barely escaped drowning himself and finally made his way to shore. But then the priest heard the voices of some fishermen calling to him.
They're not
They
afraid
said,
of getting eaten. You know, it's like,
They said,
Here
"Come
comes
and
dinner."
see, in the place where the waters of the river mix with those of the sea." The priest came to the spot where the fishermen were and looked at where they were pointing. They all saw 3 fish, each with a white host in its mouth. The fishermen were very perplexed because the 3 discs looked very much like communion hosts. The priest agreed that that is exactly what they were, and he had time to run back to the church and get another holy container. I mean, he's going to do it right.
yeah.
Well, he was in such a hurry that he did not even stop to wonder whether the fisherman's story could be real. When he returned to the river, he was overjoyed to see that the 3 fish were still there waiting for him. Now they were almost completely out of the water, lifting each host high in the air like little trophies securely in each mouth. And this is where you see the picture now. The priest fell to his knees and held out the chalice. He began praying as he had never prayed before in his whole life. Then one by one, he saw each fish drop a host into the chalice and then slither back and go quickly into the water and disappear. The priest then noticed that a large group of people were gathered around, all witnessing this amazing miracle. Many testimonies were documented and carefully preserved. As one can see those written testimonies today, a small church was built on the site of the miracle, and they even have a large statue of a fish holding a host outside of the church. And this is approved by the Vatican.
Where's this country at? This is so cool.
This is in Spain, in Alboraya, Alboraya, in Spain, 1348.
Wow.
And they still have it.
Oh my gosh. You know,
I
my
just love
dad
it.
joined us tonight. I have to say hi, Dad, because you know it's like it's just like he actually showed up, and this is getting crazy. And now you're talking about fish when he's here, because he is like he's like this mega angler. He's like Mr. Trout Master. He's like always throwing out the line. It's like, boy, if he could get some of this to get those fish to come in. But it's like, oh my God. And then everybody, oh my gosh, John, everybody loves the story because they love the story about animals. So they're all like hearting. They're like, I see all these flying hearts. So I had to say thank you, everybody, for enjoying these stories. These are really cool stories, John.
Oh, and like I said, there's like 140 of them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. This
Well,
is image 8.
ready for another one?
Oh, yeah. Which image are we on, you guys?
8.
Number 8.
Wow.
Number 8. Now we're going to talk about hosts that avoid natural disasters.
Oh, wow.
So in Faverny, France, in 1608, the abbey named Notre Dame de la Blanche had only 6 monks and 2 novices. And at nightfall, when the monks were preparing to retire to bed, they left 2 oil lamps left burning before the host on the altar. So, they got it lit for adoration on the altar. But when the church was open the next morning, it was filled with smoke and flames rising on all sides of the altar. While the flames were being extinguished, the young novice, who's just 15 years old, noticed that the monstrance, which is what holds the host, and the host, as you see in the picture, were suspended in the air and tilted slightly backwards. It raised itself off the altar to avoid the flames. Now, news spread quickly, and everyone came to see this miracle. The church was filled with all kinds of curious people. Many knelt in awe before the floating host. A great number of skeptics came to examine this miracle for themselves, and they saw it. And throughout the rest of the day and into the night, the curious were permitted to move freely about the area and view the suspended monstrous containing the host. Now get a load of this. On Tuesday morning, May 27th, the host continued to float in the air during continuous early morning masses offered by priests from all the surrounding neighborhoods, and finally at 10 a.m., during the Mass offered by Father Aubrey, the hovering monstrous shifted its angle to a vertical position and slowly began to descend to the newly replaced altar. Not until it got a new altar did it come down.
Gosh.
Wow.
The host and monstrous had been suspended in the air for 33 hours.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you can't miss that.
Yeah.
If they would have had cameras, they would have been taking pictures.
They all came to see it. Yeah, so if anyone doubted, which there were doubters that came to see it, they all saw it hovering in the air there with no way it could be held up except by angels or the hand of God. I mean, just whatever you want to believe, but it was suspended in midair for 33 hours until the fire was put out and a new altar was placed under it. Then it came down.
Wow.
So, and by the way, the host, despite all those flames and fire and smoke, was totally pure white, untouched.
Oh my gosh.
All right, it gets better. Go to slide 9.
Oh my gosh.
I'm telling you.
I mean, all night, hello. I don't think I would have left the church. I would have just been there, whoa.
I bet some people didn't.
I mean, I would have just stayed there forever just to go, okay, when's it going to drop? When's the other shoe going to drop? What's going on?
That's
right, Michael? I wouldn't have left.
That's right.
I would have just been like, wow.
I was hungry for a while, yeah.
Exactly. Thank you. Mom, can you send me a sandwich? I'm staying right here.
Right?
I'm not going anywhere.
This is just too cool.
I know.
I get it.
Between that and the fish, oh my gosh, I'm in love.
Huh?
Send out for pizza. I'm not leaving.
Exactly. Domino's, deliver. My eyes are not moving.
Right?
Oh my
All right, well,
gosh.
here's another one. This is amazing. Number 9, picture number 9. This happened in Avignon, France in 1433.
Wow.
And what happened was they... okay, I'll just read it. Louis VIII, the King of France, successfully exterminated the heresy that denied the real presence of Jesus, he vowed to arrange a public demonstration in reparation for the sins which the heretics had committed. Avignon was the city chosen for this, and a grand and holy procession was planned. Exposing the host for adoration became a perpetual process for the next 200 years.
Wow.
Encouraged by an enthusiastic group known as the Grey Penitents. Well, in the year 1433, the rivers surrounding Avignon became swollen from heavy rainfall. On November 29th, the waters had flooded over the boundaries and inundated the whole city, even threatening this chapel, where the sacred host was still exposed for adoration on the altar.
My gosh.
Well, the directors of the chapel were afraid of the rising floodwaters. They might touch or destroy the host, so they got a boat, went in to rescue it, and the waters were 4 feet deep. But as you see in the picture, when they opened the chapel door, they were amazed to see that the deep floodwaters had parted, just like the waters of the Red Sea had parted in the time of Moses. Waters stood 4 feet high on both the left and right sides toward the walls, leaving a central aisle dry and clear from the doorway all the way to the altar. The waters surrounded the altar, but did not touch it.
Oh my gosh.
Two of the witnesses fell on their knees before this miracle.
Oh my
Others
gosh.
spread the news. And here's a quote. Great was the miracle in this chapel when the water entered it in 1433. On the morning of Monday, the waters began to rise. They pressed into the chapel as high as the altar. Under the altar were placed all paper and parchment books, cloths, towels, reliquaries, none of which was the least damp. Although on the following day, which was Tuesday, the water had not stopped rising.
Oh my goodness.
So finally the water went down a few days later, and great crowds entered the chapel to witness for themselves the fact that the altar and all the stuff on the bottom of it on the shelves was completely dry, proving that the 4 feet of water had never touched the altar. I love it.
That's just mind-blowing. Now, the 2-year-old in me would have gone like right up to the water. I would have stuck my finger and gone, I wonder what's in there. That is like amazing.
Poked at it, yeah.
Yeah, I've been like, oh my gosh, I wonder what it tastes like. You know, it's like,
yeah,
wow.
You know what? That would have been like a Chevy Chase moment where then the water all would have come in the aisle and the whole thing
Oh,
would have
no. Then it would have been my fault. Everything was destroyed. Serious. Oh my gosh. It's like a Groundhog Day moment.
Mm-hmm.
Go to number 10.
Got 10 up, 10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a storm or something. In the
I
sea.
see hearts.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Oh, that's nice. Thank you all for the hearts out there.
We love all the hearts. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, yes. I send a heart out to all the hearts. All right. Tumaco, Colombia, 1906. Not that long ago. 1906.
Wow.
Tumaco, Colombia. The earth shook violently at 10 a.m. for about 10 minutes on the island of Tumaco on January 31st. All of the inhabitants of the village ran to the church. They begged the Father to lead a procession with the Blessed Host. The sea was rising. It already engulfed part of the beach. A huge wall of water was building up into one gigantic wave.
It's like a tsunami.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, a tsunami from the earthquake. Frightened, Father Gerard consumed the leftover hosts of the church and put the large one aside for the procession. Calling out to the people, he said, "Let us go, my children. Let us all go toward the beach. May God have mercy on us." Okay, go to the next picture, number 11.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, here we are.
So the tidal wave came rushing toward the beach. He raised the sacred host in the monstrance, which you see in the picture.
Yeah.
His heart filled with faith. He was determined that God would save them. He traced the sign of the cross in the air with the monstrance. As Father Julian stood beside him, they both showed their strong faith in the Lord while facing certain death.
Wow.
Then without fully realizing what the people had just seen. They heard shouts of, "Miracle! Miracle! Miracle!" The mighty wall of water, which had been rushing forward to wipe the village off the face of the earth, halted and receded. Impossible.
That's
But the ocean
unheard of.
returned quickly. The ocean returned quickly to its normal level. The inhabitants were overcome with joy and gratitude from having been saved from death by the presence of Jesus in the host and the strong faith of the people. Their prayers had been answered in a miraculous fashion, and news of this miracle spread throughout the world, 1906, world quickly. An invisible force beyond that of nature.
That nobody can explain. Nobody can explain it at all.
Nope.
You know, it
Nope.
just,
It does not happen.
you know, animals can see it. Obviously, you know, it just, this is mind-blowing
Oh.
stuff, people.
So here we have a host that rises above fire, parts the waters of a flood so it doesn't get wet, and stops a tsunami dead in its tracks that's barreling toward the beach and all the people of this village. Impossible, yet it happened. And these are all approved by the Vatican. They're not cute little stories. They're all well documented and well researched and well placed in the history books. But people don't know about these things.
No,
You know, that's
because
what
it's
I've
not
been
common
doing.
knowledge. It really isn't.
Right. Well, let's jump ahead. Go to number 13. Okay.
Okay.
Jump to number 13.
13. All right, we are there.
I want to make sure before 9 o'clock that we get in some science here.
Oh, we can go over a little bit because we didn't really get started till like about 8:05 or 8:10, so we got time.
Yeah,
We
you
got-
got-
as long as you can hang
Oh,
out with us a little bit longer.
Oh, I can stay as long as you want.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So 13, tell me when it's up.
It's up.
Okay. Are you there?
Yes, got it.
Okay. Now, this happened in Lanciano, Italy, and this is what happens when a priest doubts that this is really the body and blood of Jesus. During the Mass in Lanciano, Italy, in 750 A.D., long time ago, 750 A.D.,
Oh, my gosh.
at that time, the priest was having personal difficulty truly believing that the bread and wine could actually be changed into the actual body and blood of Jesus. So during the Mass, he lifted the host at the moment of consecration, and the round white wafer was instantly surrounded by a ring of visible flesh, which is still present, and you see it in the picture. The host has disintegrated since, but the flesh is still there that surrounded the host. So it's still there. The flesh was added around the circumference of the large host, and it's still there. And you can still go see it in Italy. They preserved it. It is still there. And that's 750 A.D. So it's a long time to have preserved
No
it.
kidding, that's a long time ago.
It did not disintegrate, but the host did. At the same moment, go to the next slide, the consecrated wine in the chalice on the altar formed into 5 jelly-like pellets of blood, human blood.
Oh,
The
my.
astonished priest and the congregation at once begged God to forgive them for their weak faith and recent doubt.
Oh, my God.
Now, this miraculous flesh and blood were carefully enshrined, but without any preservatives or even an airtight container. They should have deteriorated over the centuries, but only the white wafer did, leaving that ring of flesh behind. The 5 pellets of blood had hardened on the outside, but are still fluid today on the inside.
Oh, my God.
Now, let's take a look at the science of this, since we still have it.
Exactly.
In 1971, Professor Eduardo Linoli, an expert in anatomy and pathological histology, received permission to examine the Lanciano substances. The blood was determined to be human blood type AB, which matches the Shroud of Turin and other artifacts that are supposed to have Jesus' blood.
Amazing.
And that was true not only in the blood, but in the flesh sample, too, that it was the same. The blood was shown to be, listen to this, the blood was shown to contain the same minerals, chemicals, and proteins as fresh human blood taken today.
Wow.
Even though this blood was 1,221 years old in 1971. The five, and get a load of this is unbelievable. The five unequal portions of blood, those that you're looking at on the screen, those 5 portions of blood weighed the same together as each pellet weighed separately.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, do that.
That makes no sense whatsoever.
No, but it's miraculous.
Incredibly miraculous.
Each of the 5 portions weighed 15.85 grams, and altogether they weighed 15.85 grams.
That doesn't make sense.
Well, it's miraculous.
Totally
miraculous. Now, there's more. Professor Lanolle discovered that this tissue was actually from the muscle of the heart.
Oh, wow.
This tissue is neither dead nor mummified, but considered to be still living tissue because the commission determined that it responded rapidly to all the clinical reactions distinctive of living beings.
Wow.
These samples from Lanciano remain in the same condition as one would expect to find flesh and blood taken today from a living human being.
Wow.
And it's 750 A.D. But the chemistry of the science of the experts who studied this said it is fresh as if taken from a living being today.
Amazing.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to slide number 15.
All right. We are there. And 16 is up, too.
Looks like a petri dish.
Yeah.
It is.
There's something growing in it.
Here's the story. Here's the story on this one. Happened in 1996 in Buenos Aires, Argentina, South America. And let's hear the words from Father Pizzet as he describes what happened during the 7 p.m. evening Mass on August 18th, 1996. Quote, "When I just finished distributing Holy Communion to the congregation, a lady came up to me and said she had seen a communion host abandoned in the church. And so he went and retrieved it, and noticed it was kind of in a dusty, dirty area. So he decided not to consume it like you're supposed to do. So he did what the church practices, and that is you put it in a container of water, a bowl of water, and put it inside the locked tabernacle. And then they just kind of decided they'd check on it later and see how soon it would dissolve, because it's supposed to dissolve, and then they dispose of it properly. But what you see here is after a few days, in fact, exactly, let's see here, 8 days later, the priest came down to pray in the chapel and had the lady Emma contact him, and she says, Father, this morning I looked in the tabernacle and noticed something strange. And so he went and he saw the host was becoming red. And he was surprised because it's supposed to dissolve. Wow. And so you're seeing an actual picture of the bleeding host. And so it continued to grow in quantity over the weeks. Go to the next slide, number 16. This is a side view of that bleeding host in the little bowl.
Oh my gosh, it's like growing.
Right.
And then, after you've got a good look at that, go to 17, the next picture. And now you'll see this is even, let's see, how much longer was it? Oh, a few weeks later. a few weeks later, you can see, this is the air view now. Now you can see is just so much more blood and starting to have tissue in there, and all sorts of things are going on, and yet this is locked up where no one can get to it, okay?
That's
And
amazing.
now go to number 18, and you'll get another side view of that particular substance.
Wow.
Now, let's talk about, and guess who the Archbishop was in Argentina at this time?
Francis. It wasn't Francis
Pope
then.
Francis.
Yeah.
So he knows about this because he gave the orders for scientific study of it. So our own Pope Francis was well involved in this.
Goodness
Well,
gracious.
here's what they found out. The sample of the bloody material was carefully extracted and sealed for forensic analysis in a blind study, which means that the laboratories have no idea where it came from or what the story is. They just handed it and said, what do we have here? Tell us what you see. Well, they said, this is human blood. But they were very puzzled because the human DNA would not yield a genetic profile. That's impossible. All DNA has a genetic profile,
True.
but not this one. And in fact, I'll just tell you right now, not any of the hosts that have been studied that were bleeding have ever yielded DNA with a genetic profile. So
No telomeres?
stop and think for a minute. DNA comes from everybody that came before you.
Yeah.
If you are the creator or first in line, there won't be any genetic profile from anyone before you.
No, that's true.
Oh,
That's good you explained that.
that'll
That,
give you
makes
a
it-
chill.
that details the significance.
Amazing. And not just this one sample, but many.
Wow.
Let's go to the next. Oh, wait a minute.
Mhm.
Got
That was
one
18.
more bit of information here on
Okay,
that.
sure.
Okay. They went to another scientist, Dr. Zugibe, who I think also studied the Shroud of Turin, and they had some tissue in that sample, okay? So he says this looks to be of human origin. It is flesh, and I can see white blood cells. It's definitely heart tissue from the left ventricle wall, not too far from the valvula area. It's part of the heart muscle that makes the heart beat. The left ventricle pumps blood to all parts of the body. This heart muscle has lost its striation, and there is the presence of intact white blood cells. The heart muscle is inflamed. There has been recent injury, like a beating, where someone has been beaten severely around the chest. The white blood cells indicate injury and inflammation. Well, there are a lot of them, and they're all intact. Now, get a load of this sentence. White blood cells can only exist if they are fed by a living body. The heart was alive at the moment this sample was collected.
Oh, my goodness.
What did we just say about the Lanciano 750 AD sample? That it was like it was alive, living tissue taken that day, and it was heart tissue. Here again, in this Eucharistic miracle, where the bleeding host, now they have white blood cells, evidence of someone being beaten about the chest, and it's heart tissue, and the heart was alive at the moment the sample was collected. The white blood cells, he found, could only last a few minutes without the nourishment from a living body, and this sample had been stored for 3 years before he examined it.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, wow. Wow. All right, let's go to slide number 19. Folks, we could go a long time, but I've got just enough for you tonight.
Wow.
Okay, we're good.
All right, number 19 shows a Mexican miracle in Tixtla, that's Tixtla, Tixtla, Mexico, in the year 2006. You can see the priest holding up a host that started bleeding. And what was significant about this, I'll just jump to the science, because we can understand it started bleeding. And here's what they found. Number one, the reddish substance was human blood, with hemoglobin and DNA of human origin. Yet, no genetic profile could be found in the DNA. Number two studies conducted by eminent forensic experts determined that the blood originated from the inside of the host and then bled to the surface, just like blood in a wound would come from inside and then go to the outside, which means nobody could have put the stuff on the surface. It came bleeding from the inside of the host.
That's incredible.
Number three, the blood type is AB.
Again.
Matching the samples. Yes, AB, again, which is very common among Middle Eastern people. Interesting. And then number four, a microscopic analysis reveals that the blood nearest the surface has been dried since 2006 when it happened, but the innermost layers of the host still have fresh blood as much as 4 years later. Again.
That's
Number five,
you guys.
Wow.
They also found intact white blood cells, red blood cells, and other elements of blood. The tissue appears lacerated exactly as it would in living tissue. Living tissue. A further study of the presence of protein structures in the blood shows that it was a process typical of blood and not of anything fake or, it's not like ketchup or anything like that. Okay. And finally, these studies in Mexico revealed that the tissue corresponds to the muscle of the heart. Again, the muscle of the heart. And the heart tissue was alive when the sample was taken.
Wow.
But the tissue was not examined until 3 months had passed, and yet it was living heart muscle tissue. I love this stuff.
That's just amazing.
It almost brings to light the Sacred Heart devotion. It's like, why the Sacred Heart? People say, why the heart? And it kind of connects.
Well, you heard the heart of Jesus is in the Eucharist.
Yeah, literally.
It truly is.
Yeah.
It truly is. The Sacred Heart. Okay, now you don't have number 20, correct?
Yes, I don't have number 20, but I got 21 and 22 up, ready to go.
Okay. Well, 21 through 23, I'll go together. Let's start with 21. This girl that I was going to show you, her name is Julia Kim in South Korea. She had numerous things happen. She had 13 hosts turn to flesh and blood on her tongue. I had 2 pictures that we might have been able to see but didn't, where it shows on her tongue the round host turning to flesh and blood. One of those times that happened, she was in front of Pope John Paul II at the Vatican in a private ceremony in his own chapel there at the Vatican, because he was kind of interested in what was going on with her, and sure enough, God wanted to do it right in front of him. So right in front of him, boom, this host turned to bloody flesh, and it was pulsating and swelling and beating like with a pulse on her tongue. So what you're seeing in the picture now, it looks like blood splatters on a bedspread. That's exactly what it is. And she would have, back in Korea, blood fall out of thin air in the chapel, in her home, outside. And so they set up cameras in her bedroom and to run, like security cameras constantly. And when the blood would come, there would be nobody in the room. In fact, they could be in the room and they could hear it hit the bed, and they'd look up and there's nothing there, and the cameras would show that there's nobody doing anything. So that blood fell out of thin air. Now it gets better. Go to the next slide, number 22. And that's kind of bloody tissue, like bloody flesh, that also fell out of thin air. That happened numerous times, indoors, outdoors, on rocks. And go ahead to slide number 23. They had a Stations of the Cross in a wooded area nearby, and they found a bunch of blood dripping in the area. So they took little black plastic rings, and everywhere they found a blood drop or a piece of flesh, I know it sounds gross, but you just have to bear with me here. And this is not a scary movie, so don't think of it. Don't have nightmares tonight. Think of it as the life and love of Jesus falling on us, okay? The life is his flesh, and the love is his blood. So think of his life and love falling on us with great graces. So here they put a ring around every blood thing they could find, and look, you see there in the picture, it forms a trail that goes from one Station of the Cross to the next one at the point of when, the appropriate point where he would have been carrying the cross and bleeding, So amazing. Now it gets even better. They took samples from the host that was on her tongue, the blood on the bedspread, the bloody tissue that fell out of thin air, those blood things on the pavement out there, and about they had 8 samples total. And guess what they found out? It wasn't her blood, which you might think, oh, she's faking it somehow. No, it was the blood of a man, and all the samples, no matter where they happened or how they took place, even inside her mouth to the pavement outside, was determined to be the same man's blood in all 8 samples, no matter where and when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I just love that.
Did this have that no genetic profile thing like the other ones?
Yep.
And
just
the interesting thing about this one too is that in other cases the host and the tongue turned to flesh when the person was a sinner. Why would is there an inconsistency there, or that this time it actually did it for someone who wasn't a sinner and it materialized in the air? They have a picture of it on a table instead of on the cloth or in a chalice, which kind of says that this isn't. And it drops are appearing on the ground and on bed sheets instead of on the altar. This one seems very different. That's all I'm adding. I don't know if there was other information.
The area was a holy area. It was the area where all the Stations of the Cross were, and the bedspread was where she slept, which she was considered a visionary. She had many visits from Blessed Mary. I mean, she had tons of messages and many things. I mean, they've written several whole books. There's so many things that went on with her. This is just a small part of it, actually. And the tissues fell either on her bed or in the holy areas or in the church. So one time they had 7 hosts fall out of thin air and land on the altar. I mean, that'll wake you up.
No kidding.
Yeah. And in front of everybody, in front of priests and archbishops and whoever, the visiting dignitaries, it didn't matter. It would happen in front of all these people. And in my book, again, Be Not Afraid to Follow the Footprints from Heaven, I have a number of these, and the picture of it on her tongue, because we talked about color photos. I've got it in there. And it covers a lot of this that we're talking about. So, anyway, we have a little bit more if you got more time. So,
yeah,
5 minutes sounds about right. That might be enough to cover it.
I can do it.
All right.
I'll do it.
Everybody's just like, wow. Like Jennifer Evans, nothing gross at all. Dawn's like, amen. Jennifer's like, wow. David Landry, I just got here. Deb is like, oh my gosh. And everybody's just like, oh my goodness.
Oh, I'm telling you, folks. I mean, I take this very seriously. This is important stuff that people need to know, and that's why I've been researching it for 5-6 years now. Just digging, getting all the best scientific stuff and things that are out there that I'm trying to pull together and and collect them and put them all together. And I've even got a second book in the works that's going to go into more depth on all this. So, but certainly we have so much to talk about. Let me cover some living statues real quick. And we'll go to slide number 24. This is also considered a Eucharistic miracle. And this happened in Regensburg, Germany in 1257. Regensburg, Germany, 1257. And basically, the priest was at the moment of consecration in the chapel and had a large crowd there with him. And he hesitated. He doubted the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist. He had his doubts that this was really his true body and blood, and just symbolic. He didn't think it was really there. Well, because he delayed raising the chalice for consecration, and in those days they faced the altar, as you see in the picture, he then heard a slight noise coming from the altar, and all at once the body of Jesus on the large crucifix seemed to come alive. One of the hands of Jesus detached itself from the cross, stretched forward, took the cup, the chalice, from the hands of the priest, and raised it. It's like, if you're not going to do this, I'll do it.
Oh, my gosh.
Well,
what year did this happen in?
Everyone in the church was shocked. I mean, they were just stunned. I mean, I would be too.
I think I'd
The
follow.
priest backed away. And the priest backed away and gazed at the miracle. He fell to his knees and fervently repented of his doubts. It was only then that Jesus handed the cup back to him. Everybody was amazed, and great crowds came to the church to honor that miraculous crucifix for years. And guess what? Still there, and approved by the Vatican in Regensburg, Germany, 1257. I love it.
Whoa,
well,
that's a shocker.
Go to.
That's a shocker.
Yeah, I'd be a little unnerved to see that happen, but hey, it just shows you don't doubt this. So, go to slide number 25. This is beautiful black crucifix. However, this crucifix is made of white marble.
Really?
Oh, yeah, you're gonna say it looks black to me.
It looks like burnt. Crispy critter.
Mexico City. Mexico City in 1602. And a beautiful crucifix made of white marble was in a Dominican church, and it's next door to the cathedral and used often by seminarians. The archbishop celebrated Mass there on a regular basis. It became his customary practice to kiss the feet of the crucified Lord on the cross before beginning the Mass. Not everyone had been happy with the thousands of conversions happening since Guadalupe, and which inspired 9 million people to convert.
Yeah.
And not everybody was happy with that. So one guy decided, I'm going to kill this bishop. I'm going to kill him. And so he decided he was going to put poison on the feet of the statue.
Oh, no.
Because, the bishop kissed it, every morning before Mass.
Wow.
So he puts the poison on, and the bishop goes to kiss the feet of Jesus, and the feet raise up in the air where the bishop can't touch them. And he backs up like, oh my gosh. And then they see the white marble start to turn to black, as if absorbing the poison instead of letting the bishop suffer. Jesus took on the suffering, and the white marble turned black. And you're looking at the white marble statue that absorbed the poison in 1602 and saved the bishop's life by raising its feet up in the air away from the bishop.
Oh boy, that bishop's lucky. That bishop is gracefully blessed.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Gosh.
No kidding. That would have been a big burden to take downstairs.
Yep. You still got some time?
Still got a few minutes, Ken? How are we doing?
We can go a couple
one more
minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's stretch it out.
This is
one more.
a long one, which I'll do very quick. Go to slide 26.
Okay.
And you see this beautiful depiction of Jesus suffering on the cross. I know that sounds a bit ironic to say a beautiful depiction, but it's well done. It's a beautiful 6-foot crucifix in Limpias, northern Spain. It was made in the 1800s. Had some miraculous history, which I won't really go into, but it was moved to this little church, and the church was dying out. There were maybe 6 to 10 people showing up, and the priest thought about closing the church. But he decided to have one last blast and have a big like retreat with some famous evangelists and try to stir up some excitement. Well, it filled the church, and a lot of people were there. But when it filled the church, they all started seeing the crucifix moving.
Oh, wow.
Jesus moved his head left, then right, looked up, looked down. He started sweating, so much so they gave the priest a ladder and said, "Get up there and check that out."
Oh, my gosh.
So he climbs the ladder and feels the crucifix, and his hands are just coated with sweat. That it wasn't any illusion. He really had sweat all over his hands.
Wow.
And to make a very long story short, this went on for 3 years in that church. This is one of those that was very well hidden. I got a book with the original testimonies and affidavits from 1919 through 1921 when this happened.
Oh, my goodness.
It's unbelievable. People saw him breathing. They saw him turn blue and gasp and take his last breath of life.
Wow.
If you were a sinner, you saw him glaring at you.
Uh-oh. Sounds like my old priest in Chelsea when he saw me coming in with Holly. Me and Holly be like ducking, going, yes, yes.
If you're in good standing, you saw waves of wonderful, passionate love making you never want to leave. And people did. They stayed all night, and they just couldn't leave the wonderful love that they felt coming from his face and everything. And he would look right at people, and they said it would just give them chills. But, and one guy was really nervous, so he started walking around the church to get away from his gaze, and the eyes of Jesus followed him wherever he went and turned his head toward him. And even at one point, 2 dramatic things happened. He actually shook on the cross so much he banged his head on the back of the cross, and it shuddered the whole wall, and everybody heard his head hit the cross. It banged that hard. And an atheist came into church and said, "Oh, this is a bunch of crap, bunch of baloney." They had to carry him out on a stretcher because he fainted and said he saw Jesus getting down off the cross and coming at him. So, interesting thing about this, they estimate as many as 80,000 people saw this over 3 years, and they have collected 8,000 testimonies and over 6,000 under sworn oath, all in the records there in this little church in Limpias, northern Spain. Why don't we hear about this stuff? I actually got it off of EWTN. My wife, Ruthie, saw it and says, "You better check that one out." And when I did, of course, I go way into it when I check it out. I got the original book and all the original testimonies and all the quotes from the people who were seeing things. And, oh, my goodness. I could do 2 hours just on that one.
Yeah, I bet.
So,
because of
anyway, folks, that is a brief touch of the kinds of things I've been digging into. And both of the books that I'm working on, I mean, the one's out and the other one I'm working on, they're just filled with this stuff. And by the way, I got church approval the end of November for the first book, Be Not Afraid to Follow the Footprints from Heaven. And it is on Amazon. If you like ebooks, it's an ebook through Kindle and all those sources. And so, gosh, check it out, folks. I mean, because this stuff, it's not about me. I just put it all together. This is about stuff that we all need to know about. And if you're amazed by the kinds of things that I've presented tonight, then the book will just blow you away. So,
on the thing. All right, get back to your coffin, your little mini coffin. Uncle Fester put you in. Oh, you had to see the video to get that one there. We'll call you brother, instead of calling you John Carpenter, because everybody always assumes Brother Carpenter, I appreciate it.
Don't go nowhere. We got a drawing.
We have a drawing coming up, and we just have a short commercial break. But there's
Did you tell them about John's website where they can find him?
Yeah, there's a radio show and a website.
www.divineministries.info/ No?
No. Divine Mysteries.
Mysteries and Miracles.
Oh, okay. Divine Mysteries.
Yes, it's got all John's blogs, information about the book, information about these miracles, and so many more. Just incredible. I mean, and John blogs here regularly, posts stuff. There's articles, store, all kinds of great stuff. This is amazing, John. We're going to have you back because we can't possibly pack you in. Not even in 2 hours, I don't think we can get you in.
Yeah, sure. Whatever you need.
Are you kidding me? This is great stuff. Thank you so much for being such a blessing to us. People were just like, they were blown away tonight. This is just some of the most amazing.
Not me.
Well, of course it is, but it's nice that you kind of like, what you did is you kind of like went into the lake and you gathered all the pebbles and you're letting us look at them, you know?
Yeah, the details of them are important, and you did more than just tell the short version.
That's a great thing about it.
All of it.
Yeah, you got a lot of research
to give
there.
the full effect. Thank you very much. Have a good night, good week. God bless. Hey, you guys out there in TV land, Facebook land, don't you go anywhere. We're going to be right back.
And don't get frustrated. Facebook does its Facebook thing as often as it can, but, we've got your swag bag, okay? Don't forget, we've got your little swag bag. So, drawings, and, of course, we've got our commentary from the Peanut Gallery, Deb and Mike, after the break. So don't go anywhere.
This is Kenneth Deel along with my wife, Farah Rose Deel, and we're going to talk to you real quick about our books. So we have 5 books available right now and 1 on deck. The books are the Catholic Demonologist Handbook along with the Workbook and Study Guide, and the Christian Demonologist Handbook along with the Workbook and Study Guide. And that's for all denominations. Well, we also have the Haunting Self-Help Guidebook.
Any and all of these books are going to help direct you to not just the natural causes, prevention, prayers to assist you, to keep you and your family protected.
Yes, real solutions done by real people in the field. And we're sharing our knowledge and information to help you help yourself, or help a friend or a client if you're in the field yourself.
www.swordsofstmichael.org or
www.catholicdemonologist.com. You can buy the books direct and get them personally signed.
Are you looking for something special to remind you what a mystical experience prayer can be? Are you looking for something beautiful to hang in your car for protection? Try Prayers by the Bead. You'll find a variety of original, one-of-a-kind Anglican prayer beads, Lutheran, Methodist, Catholic prayer beads that are made to your specification using our materials or your materials made to order in just about any design that inspires you to get prayed right up.
Farah has about over 100 in her inventory pre-made, and guys, yes, there's plenty of rosaries and designs for you, so to give to your father, for yourself, for your own prayer life.
We have a variety of exorcism medals, including the St. Benedict cross, beads, anything for your spiritual warfare needs. So, if you'd like some more information, find my page on Facebook, Prayers by the Bead.
www.etsy.com/shop/Farah Rose.
Or on Facebook, Prayers by the Bead.
pictures of him.
Yeah.
We're back.
We don't waste no time. Well, that's one of the swags right there, the swag.
Oh, yes, that's right. We've got to give away this swag. And, of course, doggy, we let you draw. We get you draw, little doggy, doggy. Yeah, you can draw, okay.
I should, make a puppet arm that looks like a furry dog arm and then have it reach in there like this.
We've got some great names in here. I mean, everybody. Okay, and you know what?
Stick it in a dog's mouth. She'll probably eat it.
This one, okay, this is just a cool little refrigerator magnet. We're not going to make you be here to win, but the other one is really cool, so you got to be here to win. Okay. All right. We need one of those, those Carol
Thanks, dog.
Maryland's.
Okay, thanks for slobbering on it there, dog. Dog picked out Irene D.E. Is that D?
So Irene gets the little magnet. Okay. Now, for, I haven't even shown you guys this swag yet. Flipping hair out of my face. This is it. This is one of our premier little blue little, it's a Reel Deals, and what it is, it's like this really cool labradorite, okay? I don't know if you can see this, but it's labradorite.
Let it focus on it, it'll do it. Yeah.
Right there.
No, it got it. That's about as good as you're going to get on there.
Okay, whatever.
Be out of
All right, very cool swag, all right. Labradorite, Reel Deals, kind of thingy. Okay, I'm mixing up the names, because there's a lot of names in here. Okay, and don't forget, you guys, we will have another drawing. The next drawing is Valentine's Day. I'm not sure we're going to do one next week or not. I got to double check and make sure. If there is going to be one, I'll try and announce it because I'm just kidding.
Yeah, next week's a busy week for us.
Yes.
Business.
Oh, whatever. Just draw a name. Go. Yes, very shiny, Miss Jennifer. Oh, Ray, you made it in. Hey, Deborah. Hey, Dawn. Veronique, a cover shell.
Is she in the crowd tonight? Remember?
I don't know. Veronique, you've got to be here. Remember, you got to come at halftime. Oh, wow, we're really late. I don't like it.
How much for the halftime?
I know.
But that's okay. People are enjoying it. And
hi, Denise. Hey, Karen. Smurl Girl. Jen. Ray.
Hey, Care.
Okay, so we're going to let Veronique have it this time?
Yeah, it's a small one.
Okay, yeah, all right. Veronique, you're in luck. Ken feels like being nice. Right. Isn't that nice of him, Mike? Goodness gracious. Yeah. Where did Mike go?
I'm right here.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Mike, Deb?
I just had to demute myself.
Oh my gosh.
Poor Deb.
Crazy,
Deb must have fell asleep, and there's a good reason.
I know. Well, no, she didn't fall asleep. She's still there. But
okay.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, you guys. So are we going to do an Ask a Demonologist, or are we going to discuss some of these interesting slides?
Well, if you guys wanted to, I mean, it's a thing. It's like you let them go into...
Ask a Demonologist.
All right, might as well. Okay, live Q&A. Pull it up, Ken.
First, the opportunity of the people in the comments in the chat room that's on the reeldeals.com. Go ahead and post your questions, and we'll answer them live and take it around the table, too, and get second, third, and fourth opinions. Because, oh, by the way, yes, one of our compadres, or if we're Russian, it would be our comrades. Oh, boy. Christopher Sampson, he's not with us tonight.
What's tonight's Ask a Demonologist question?
Cold. What's the Ask a Demonologist questions?
Yes.
You name one. I just want to see if there's any in the chat room.
No,
first.
nothing
Anything
in the chat room just yet. No, nothing.
We were talking about the some of these topics on the last show, and it seems like they seem to carry themselves over a little bit. And so was there, and because they keep coming up, and there's even people asking some on YouTube, on the reeldeals.com on YouTube. But one of the particular ones was right here. And it is, it's not right there.
Hold on, Michael. He's almost going to read it. Where's my keyboard when I need it? Hey. I love my little hearts, you guys. Oh, my gosh. People were throwing so many hearts on the screen, I was about to lose it. I was laughing so hard. It's like, I'm trying to be serious, and everybody's like, bing, 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 bing. All these hearts. It was so cool.
Yeah.
What?
You want me to read it?
Yes, go ahead. Read one, because he's like digging in his notes, and by the time he pulls it, we're all going to grow gray hair.
I have one here. Michael wants to know.
Okay, read it.
Okay. How did you and Ken get into this?
Oh, my.
Radio or the whole business?
Yeah, being demonologist?
He didn't say, but I'm assuming
okay, let's
it's
assume.
demonologist.
Since this is Ask a Demonologist.
That was the nature of the question, Ask a Demonologist.
Farrah, let's let you start on that one, and I'll...
Like, since when do you let a lady go first? Let's just recognize a lady. Go ahead. Let's start.
That was no lady, that was my wife.
You're funny.
Oh, I thought you were talking about your sister over here.
Yeah.
Deb, be nice. We love you.
That's one of those things where you're trying to solve your own problem. Like when the guy who has a car problem, he doesn't have money to take it to a mechanic, becomes back in the shade tree mechanic days. Now,
oh, geez, here we go. Yeah. Here we go.
So, bring it a technical.
How did you and Farrah get into demonology?
Yeah, how did you get into it, kiddo?
If you looked, how did we bring ourselves into it? We were forced into it at gunpoint.
Literally.
We were haunted as children. I'm speaking on behalf of right there as myself and my wife both, and our parents. My parents played with the Ouija board at Halloween parties in the '60s. They didn't know what it's for. They just thought, hey, if you got a ghost in the house, you play with it, and then you'll get a response on there if you ask a question. Is anybody here?
Dangerous. Thank you.
And I think it affected us because I had these experiences that were, movie worthy. I'll put it that way. I mean, considering all the shows out there, and most of them are kind of lackluster compared to like yours, Deb, even.
Michael wants to know, how old were you?
That was like, as far as I can remember, 7 years old, even around the age of reason, 7. Mm-hmm. I remember not being in school and experiencing those things. And we went to first grade. I didn't have kindergarten area, so it was, 6? Yeah. So about 6 years old. And when you're younger, you don't know those things are going on because your reasoning, that's what they call it, the age of reason, is not there so much. So we had clergy in the family, and they had Forrest brothers, on my grandpa's side. And my mom and dad wanted it, and it's a little different path. I mean, besides my strange curiosity about old creepy houses and stuff. 15, I was just going through old houses and all that. And by 21, I was going to prayer meetings and giving away St. Benedict medals after some incident where someone acted like they were possessed, and they kicked me out. They were more or less not so Catholic, and there was a mix of different denominations there. But it started rather early because of the necessity of it, and even my mom and dad didn't have the right answers early enough. They gave me a St. Benedict medal. I can remember probably even when I was 7 years old, just having it on. And the spirits never really seemed to be able to get too close to me, like about 3 feet away, like a limit on that. But anyway, the Forrest brothers were priests. One was a Monsignor, and I had some retreats where helped me to discern that if I wanted to be a priest, and now I wanted to be married. I love beautiful women. I married one, you see. And there was Bill Forrest, who he was the one who baptized my son Jacob later on. He was retired. They were all retired by then. And Bishop Forrest, who was the Bishop of St. Louis, proceeding to, he was preceding Bishop Herman, who's now also retired, but what do you call it, like a backup bishop or something in St. Louis.
Auxiliary bishop.
So we had that in our family. There was other nuns and some, clergy on both sides of the family. So was I supposed to be a priest? Well, not exactly, but...
Okay, let's shorten it up because everybody else has got to talk and we got to get on with the show, cuteness.
Oh, if you want like a walk and how you get yourself inserted into the work and where you learn, well, a little bit of everybody's mentors. Even when I was just realizing when I listened to Father, we have Father Thomas's interview on from the radio show. It's a good interview because we know what questions to ask, because those are questions that we wanted to hear what he thought about it. That we experienced something and we're going, hey, Father, what do you think about this? It's about an hour and 48 minutes, I think. Could we cut commercials out? And it was for the FM show. And what I'm mentioning is that when you have that kind of access to these priests, even, because you have a radio show, they're like mentors. Everybody provides a piece of the puzzle. Even when, in the old days, it's like I called John Zappas and asked him, You know, like, hey, what did you think about this? And he'll quote Father McKenna or somebody. I mean, a little bit of everybody provides all the mentorship pieces, and that's a bigger picture thing of the walk of it. You know, so... Got the goggles on there, Farah?
No, I got hearts. I'm watching the hearts dance across the screen.
That's your heart symbol. I saw that earlier.
It's like, oh my gosh, I got hearts.
Should we torture
so
people with a
cute.
Star Wars, what do you call it, a review?
Oh, that's right. We were supposed to do the Star Wars review, too. Okay, well, you know what?
Maybe get a vote
See if Michael or Deb want to answer about, how they got into this demonology stuff real quick.
Deb.
And we'll give them... I know, they're probably dozing because you took so long.
What was that about getting into demonology? About you two?
How did you get sunk into finding out about demonology, Dob?
Know about that.
Oh, well, I'm not a demonologist to begin with.
Okay.
I got thrown in by accident by renting a house.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, Mike, how did you get?
Well.
Did you open up Carol Merrill's door number 2?
I was gonna say Deb's location.
Thanks, Mike.
I got drafted, just like probably Deb did. You step into something and then it all opens up. I had a lot of stuff going through my life, kind of like Ken did, seeing the shadows, things like that. But I never really made sense of it until I was about 47. Yeah. And I actually went out with my wife, did marital intervention, and I always avoided that because I didn't want to be a part of that. But I actually went out with to meet some husband that was furious at me for something that his wife said. She said, Mike Norton sees right through you. And we went to a church, didn't know about prophetic ministry or nothing. And so I went out to have coffee with this guy, and this guy had a demon with him, a shadow person that's talked to him. And I was about to say something, looked up, and I saw the shadow person, and I thought it was like dementia or something happening with me. Like, oh, crud, I can't have this happening right now. No. I'm supposed to work with this guy. The guy looks at me and goes, oh, you see him too.
Oh, my gosh.
And right there, you enter a space and time of church where nobody has answers. Exactly. And that just sent me, like I said, I'm not a demonologist. I just went on this quest to find out what the heck was going on. And when that world was opened up to me, I had attacks on my house. Our fire alarms were going off. They were setting off everything electrical for about a month and a half till we figured out how to deal with spiritual warfare. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I was drafted and I didn't ask for any of it. It came and found me. And ever since then, I've been helping others and digging more.
Terminology, Mike. Yeah. You and I were drafted.
Right? Yeah. I didn't if you volunteer, you need to go see a psychologist.
Yeah,
actually, we have a psychotherapist on the radio here. I talked to him.
And it's not one of those things you're called, It's I mean, even if it seems like you're called by necessity, you're trying to solve your own problems. Yeah, when I was 18, my significant turnaround was when my friend Ed came back from the military. He joined the military, and his parents had moved out while he was in there for 9 months. Moved out of town. Yeah. And he said, hey, can I stay at your house, And I said, I'll ask my mom because his girlfriend lived in the town. So I said, yes. He spent the night that night. And when I woke up in the middle of the night, like I, had done many times, I saw one of those 7-foot shadow, hooded specters or whatever, right at the end of my bed, hunched over with a long arm part. Now, I mean, that's exactly how you described it because he was in a cot in my room, like a space between the bed where you can get out of there. And he said he saw the same thing, and I woke him up saying, what do you want? Because I'm half asleep, and you're not thinking at first, hey, there's not supposed to be someone in the bedroom pointing at you, and I didn't really see that it was an arm. I hopped over his cot, literally just hopped over it, I can do that, when you're scared or something and you don't know what's going on. So I was 18 years old. I went back in to turn the light on, when I kind of like woke up entirely, you could say, in the bedroom, and in the bathroom. I used to run to the bathroom when I was a kid. That was Karen's got a funny story about that too. It's like when you have to keep a can of pee by your bed because you're too afraid to get out of bed. That when you get out, you're afraid that something's going to grab your ankles and stuff. Like that. And that's how bad it is. When someone validates and sees it that your mom was wrong. You're not having night terrors, like made-up things that are to do with your imagination, and they see the same exact thing, and from a side view, like it's three-dimensional, it's not just flat and black and pitch black. That's a life-changing event. Validation.
Okay. Sarah and Ken, we do have another important question. Mary would like to know, what credentials do you need to consider being a demonologist?
Credentials, the only thing bad about that is a lot of people get credentials and they're not valid in any sense. Even coming out of a seminary, you can even ask Chris if he was here tonight, they don't teach you anything about this stuff, or go into Bible study for 10 years or going to Bible college. Bible doesn't prepare you either. Mike can concur on that too.
It's more hands-on, I would think.
Right.
Yeah, the mentors make a
ground.
difference. Validation
Exactly,
from your peers eventually,
Well, and see, that's just it. There's very few peers, too, that, you can actually, or that actually agree with you, because and I'm sure Mike will agree, even across denominations, there's a very, very small pool of people that understand the basic elements without adding a lot of, shall we say, fantasy and nonsense, apocryphal books that actually have nothing to do with actually the nature of a thing and the nature of these things. So it's a small handful of people, Catholic, Protestant. There are very few people that can validate a study for demonology. There's very few demonologists that I've never ever met one. Ken was the first one I've ever met. I didn't even know I was a demonologist. Had no clue.
Yeah, qualified for one. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I didn't know that my knowledge qualified at all, and that was something that it happened to be that's what I'd been exposed to, and that's what I had to learn about in order to get it to stop. And I think that
so we would consider this as being text work and field work.
Yeah.
Completely. Well, and the text work really has to be with trusted, known people, such as actual exorcists, Aquinas, people that are theologians that actually have experience in dealing with supernatural entities, that don't lead people off into mythological elementals and things that are just out of Sinbad and the 7 worlds of strangeness.
Right?
Yeah.
Serious, Mike, yeah.
Yeah, one of the problems, too, is that if you read Aquinas, for example, we find that some people will come straight out, and they're very diverse in all the lives of saints and experiences. But they didn't experience everything. We're experiencing new things. It's like we were watching something the other day that Padre Pio was wrong about Garabandal, but he didn't recommend it. He just said, why not, when he was asked about it. St. John Vianney, known as Kyrie Ars, but the one who brought St. Philomena into the picture as a saint, he actually didn't believe in La Salette.
And would you also say this is also a calling besides text work and field work? This is a calling. This isn't something you just jump in as a
everybody
hobby.
can say they're called, and then so it's like they need like someone to go through some heavy discernment to see that, do you have all the elements? Just because you're haunted, if you have a mother that was a witch, does that qualify you because you grew up like me and Farah did, that and you were haunted? No, it doesn't. It means you're just a victim. But considering the the family background and all that stuff, I think that might make a difference. And I didn't say anything either because I didn't know for a long time. We didn't even know our parameters when we were, 2013. Like, how far should we take it? The typical quote-unquote demonologist. Oh, by the way, I guess I should mention this. Demonologist, the religious demonologist term was invented by Gerald Brittle. He said it in an old interview from one of our old shows, Deb, and one show I did before that he made it up because Ed Warren would call, rabbis and Buddhists, whatever they're called again, and whoever would match the faith of the people they're working with. And we don't do that. So, but, the religious demonologist term sticks. The public knows what it is, so we use it. In the church, they use that term very seldom. I mean, I think there was a monk that Gerald interviewed for that book, who was kind of like, a go-to guy on demonology, but was he a field investigator? See, by definition, it doesn't qualify you to be a field investigator, a spiritual warfare counselor. That's the person who you try to guide them through the process of solving the problem and dealing with it psychologically. That's a lot of work. And field investigations like being the cop.
Is it fair to say, we have a question from Alan in the chat room, is it fair to say that stay away from people who claim to have online class or a degree program in it for money?
I can't even name one.
I can't name one class that I've ever seen or come across, or even a book
Right. You know,
Michael,
missing
your
book
really hits on a lot of important areas.
No, you mean a tutorial book is what
But
means.
You don't train people to be demonologists. As far as training somebody to understand the nature of demons, I'm sorry, learning about names, Crowley, Thoth, and all these other things, all that will lead is invitation to oppression in your home.
Yep, the missing component I think everybody's missing here, and I think we kind of have it. It came through grace as a protective covering.
Thank you.
Because God put us into that. You don't get that through class. God
oh my gosh.
grants that through His grace.
And and that's just it. I was just telling Ken the other day. I said, how is it that I had these wild affairs with a person that would speak in the third person about an entity living in their head? How come I'm not possessed? How come I am not? I'm not in a nut house with 5 jackets on because I'm pretty strong when I'm not.
Right.
And that's not affairs as in affairs, by the way. She doesn't mean that.
But what I'm saying is that the people that and the sin that I invited in my life, for whatever reason, like you said, God has given a person that's going to work with people that are oppressed by demons such a grace that it's undescribable. That they're not completely filled with hatred, sin, oppression. It's rare. It's so rare, people. Because it can really, really destroy everything you are being exposed to this stuff. Everything you love, everything you know.
Right. Yeah. Some of these things have longer answers. I did get the question that came through, and that was about demons' names. And how many times did that come up? But not lately in the show, since we transferred the television format here to Facebook Live in this case, and YouTube. Say hello to you YouTube people out there. Demon names. And so someone would ask, hey, I was at some place or something, and you get your name, and they mention the name. I'm not going to never mention demon names. Don't even write them, to some degree, so that someone else can't read them and then say them to himself in their head or aloud. Don't even write them because you're promoting people to say it. That's
it's like what John was saying tonight. Father Vince was saying, don't knock 3 times on the wood. You're unconsciously inviting something in. Because it's superstition, and it seems harmless, it seems stupid.
Yeah, interesting, yeah.
We have to be very, very aware that even if we're unconscious, just because we're unconscious doesn't mean that it's not calling to something we're not seeing.
Right, yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Recognition, that's so true.
Father Vince is so cool.
Acknowledgments, and
well, that explains that. When I spoke to you guys earlier today, I go, knock on wood. I come home from shopping, and a box flew off my bed. Okay, thank you.
Oh, my gosh, Deb. You better go clean your house.
Yeah, you got to, because the anxiety, it will
and everything else,
yes. Yeah, once you've been haunted
take your Nerf gun and spray it with all your holy water, girl.
Yeah. So demon names it's handy for the exorcist. I mean, there's an idea that I just found out it's so and so, and then I'm going to go to my big book of demons that I got from Bob Larson, and then I'm going to see it's a demon of lust. Then you find out like about 40 of them are demons of lust. So what good did it do it anyway? You didn't get it in the right fashion, because sometimes they want to promote, the demon wants to promote that name to get you to foolishly call it in the battle. By saying it aloud or whatever, or just to get you off track so you don't really get any useful information. So you got to ask, how did they get that name to begin with? They usually got it through EVPs. They got it through Frank's box. They got it through sleep. It's a dangerous
invitation.
A whisper.
It's usually a low-level demon too. It's not going to give you its real name.
Thank you. Exactly. No,
I'm the big Bob of the street. You can't mess with me. It's like some little garbage guy or something, So.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
I've got another question that I forgot about you guys.
Sure, thanks.
And this is a question about, because as we were talking to John Carpenter about when it comes to the field of counseling, and Ken and I are not certified licensed therapists, but we do counsel because of the experience that we have in order to help people determine, could this be possibly mental or could this be spiritual? And we are on the side of medicine to make sure that people are taken care of. Amen. And we've had some questions lately, especially this time of year, because we're coming into a time of a lot of solar activity. We're in between major holidays that people are kind of confused, and they're like, the top 3 questions that we've had in various private messages are, what if I hear knocking, steps moving, creaking, and it's after 1 or 2 o'clock? Is it always a demon? And, I want to shoot at this first because I got a little story, and then you guys can run off with it.
Yes.
Where it's not a demon, okay, folks? There are specific signs that there's a marker of evil, smells, sounds, rhythmic rap. If you hear somebody creaking on your steps, all right, in the book on investigation I wrote, there's lots of reasons for that. If you have a topo done on your house, there could be underwater, you could be on a copper, there could be lots of reasons. Your house could be old, okay? There's lots of reasons. Before my sister died, died at 33, God rest her soul. Her and I had grown up in a lot of military housing that had curtains, all of a sudden close or open, and nobody know who did it. Cupboards that would be all open and silverware on the ground, strange stuff like that. We got used to it, and nobody really worried about it. My mom and dad never thought anything of it. They always thought, they had 4 kids. There was something going on. So when we got older, and this was probably, 24 years ago, about 24 years ago, she came to stay with me at a really old home, probably built 1930, 1940. It was a cabin, and it was on a lake, and there was something there, and my sister had woken up in the middle of the night, about 1:30, and she's trying to wake me up, telling me there's something in the house, and I'm like, no, there's not. Now, if you don't know me, I usually sleep with either a Colt or a Beretta. Now I have my handy-dandy little other Ironside that has...
oh, great. Now I got to delete that part of the video.
Oops. Ouch.
As soon as
Sorry.
we get a Democrat in office again, they're going to come here and take us all away.
Okay. So anyway, I sleep with protection, okay? My sister comes and says, I can't sleep, I can't sleep. I'm like, oh, just go back to sleep. So she goes back to sleep. Okay, my sister and I, we're sleeping in like different bedrooms. She comes and wakes me up again. I hear noises. I hear, somebody's walking up and down the stairs, okay, because we've got this loft. I said, there's nobody here except you and I, okay? Just go back to sleep. She wakes me up a 3rd time. She said, I can't go to sleep. There's something going on. I'm like, would you just call the police? Okay? Just leave me alone.
Oh,
all right. Yeah, I know. It was really sad because I knew there was something there and she didn't. Yeah. So I wake up in the morning, usual time, 5:30, 6 o'clock. My sister is huddled in the corner of my bedroom with a little blanket wrapped around her. This is my baby sister, okay? I feel so bad. God, I hope you forgive me, little sis. We had a ghost there. And this ghost was not going to be prayed away. He was not going to be exorcised away. He was just going to hang out, and occasionally he would walk up and down these stairs. That was his habit. He was not trying to scare anybody. He was not harmful. There was nothing we could do to get rid of him. And a lot of people think that because they hear a noise, it's got to be demonic. Never assume that it's demonic. A demonic has certain markers, and that's going to be my final note on that, so I can let somebody else talk.
Mikey or Deb? Deb, how about you? Yeah, Deb.
What? Let's have Michael talk.
Yeah, let Michael talk. I like that.
Yeah, we put him in charge of the chat room.
I'm chatting. Michael, you talk.
A lot of times, all my sessions are a lot of times done inside a counseling office when I see stuff. So if it's demonic, I usually test it. A lot of times, I already know it's not. I have to convince the person it's not a demon. So I'll start asking them questions only demons have answers for. Oh. And they're like, like, say something Latin for me. Or I'll sit off the side and read a liturgy or something of Jesus or something like that.
Oh,
or read it in Latin. And if there's really a demon there, they'll say, stop what you're doing right now. They get that. Or they talk in plural. People who think they have demons always talk in the singular. Just different things we discern. Because first of all, you can feel it in your body if something's there. You have to go through the steps of just prove them that. Next, you failed this test, and on down. And either they believe you, or they just go on the next deliverance minister to get cast it out of them. And they know how to be. I don't know if you see these guys too. They know how to be have the demons cast out. They go through the full coughing and the full bending over. It's crazy. So if there is a demon there, we'll handle it differently. And I usually have my team and I discern it. And You know, we filter it. Like, what are you feeling? Do we feel something's here? It's like, yeah, okay, then this will proceed. You know, it's just there's just two different avenues. The first avenue is it's not a demon unless you feel it.
Yeah.
Good point.
Mm-hmm.
All these little bit of chips on the round table, we add a little piece to the puzzle. Is whatever that was. I think you were saying that on. I was listening before I uploaded the Father Thomas video, and it's a good one. So make sure you check it out. There's a lot of interesting things that he even brings up about ghosts. And you know, it's not really full in the Catechism of the Church, but it's in the Lives of the Saints we learned some things about ghosts as we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important because it's not all hellfire and brimstone.
Nope. And on our side of the fence, we got nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
That's an important fact. And
you guys have to jump up and help us out here. Yeah.
Train.
We'll throw you a bullet, as Ken has to cut that out.
Oh my God. I don't know if it's important. See, well, one of our priests that we know is an exorcist. I got a video of his, and he asked me, "Hey, could you take out that spot where he casually mentions that he has a gun?" You know, and I said, "Okay." So I took it out and I sent it to him. Yeah. But that just gives you an example. We're not really sure what to expect. There's some nutty people out there. You know. Some of these. Let's just make sure there's no questions that are coming directly from the comments or the chat room.
That's what Deb's in charge of.
Mm-hmm. And Deb,
I'm having fun with my hearts.
Mm-hmm. The curses things. That's a new gesture. I just
love it. I got all these little cool hearts.
I thought it was binoculars. You know,
no, binoculars. That's Molly. Get off your fanny. No, this is hearts. This is hearts. Oh my gosh, you guys. But yeah, does anybody have anything to add about noises after midnight or stuff? There's all kinds of stuff that can go wrong, people. It's rare. I mean, demonic activity, people think, oh yeah, I got demons chasing me. Okay, you wish. It's probably your psycho ex. You know?
Yeah, well, now I know not to knock on wood 3 times.
No, don't knock on wood.
I was raised that way by the Hungarian side and the Italian side.
I know. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I've been doing it wrong all these years.
That's where they get that things that go bump in the night. And and you know the difference between a ghost and a demon too. A ghost will not increase your experiences with the spirit. True. If you go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, now he may serve his sentence, his or her, and they may go. But time is different in the other life than it is in this. So you can't go by, wow, he's been in for 7 years, you should be gone by now. Instead, do a charitable act, as even Father Thomas said. It's still in my mind because I just uploaded it, and I had to check it over to make sure that we had no music in there, so YouTube wouldn't red flag it for copyright. There's a nice little thing from Farah.
Oh, zip it.
But, the things, so don't assume that, it's a demon, but then again, don't assume it's a ghost either. And you can pray and be charitable.
Yes.
Such as, I put it on, we upgraded, it's not ready, there's a picture of a car in there because I decided I'm going to go live with it, even though it's swordsofstmichael.org. If you go there, I added a prayer that was in the back of the book originally, and that's a prayer for purgatory spirits. If you pray that for 7 days straight, and the spirit is still there, and look for the dark earmarkings, the ones that are significant to spirits that aren't good. And if they're good, if they're human, they're not necessarily good. They work with demons. If you read Father Amorth's last book, he really goes in.
Father Amorth, he's brilliant.
What was that, the 4th book?
Uh-huh.
The one that is only in Kindle, it's called Memoirs of an Exorcist, too. Both of those are good, where he finally starts to address the human spirit's involvement with demonic, where the first two have nothing in there, because he's talking about possessions. Well, we're talking about houses mainly, because possessions, humans don't inhabit the person in the way a demon does. They'll talk through them, and that's about it. Because they don't have the wisdom without a demonic aid, like they did in life, to connect to someone else's body in the same way.
Exactly.
That's not a free will choice even in life, that you can just go jump in someone else as a human and then walk them around a little bit, like a puppet.
Exactly. And folks, that's one of the biggest reasons when you guys are given deliverance prayers and you say, I bind this away from me, you instantly invite the Holy Spirit back in because you do not want creepy crawlies like cockroaches coming in, okay?
Fill the hole.
Fill the hole up with
good
the
question,
good
but
stuff. Okay,
we
go ahead.
might be able to use this for another show.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be a long answer.
Unless you want to address it tonight, I'm fine
we
with
got
that.
time.
It's all
I think
how you feel
we
about
have
it.
time, don't we? Mike, are you okay on a few more minutes?
Sure, I'm
Okay,
good.
good.
Okay. Are aliens really demons? Now, you guys know how I feel about this, but if you want to answer it, feel free to do it, or you can make another show out of
because
it.
a lot of people, I mean, okay, look, we had that meteorite, folks, explode over Michigan, Taylor, Michigan, all right, and not only did that meteor do a sonic boom that, scared the hell out of a lot of people driving, scared people on the ground, and it resulted in, what was it, like, it supposedly caused some kind of earthquake, too. That was the latest. And then there was that cigar-shaped thing that was seen, I think, Mike, was that in California? I don't really keep up on all the alien sightings. I love it because Jen and Kevin Malik, okay, guys, if you ever want to go to conspiracy fun stuff, go to their page, Monstrosities and whatever. Okay, Jen and Kevin, help me out. Post your little monstrosity thing there. They cover a lot of this really unusual stuff that goes on. So we've had meteors, we've had cigar-shaped vehicles, we've had strange lights in the sky. Now, when people normally see this, they think of one of two things. They think, okay, crazy Christians, you guys are way out there, you don't know what you're talking about, you're just seeing signs for Jesus, okay? Or two, they think conspiracy theory, okay? Deep dark underground, we have the government experimenting on people. Oh, the Russians are coming. And then last but not least, let's talk about those cute little gray guys running in your backyard going, I'm going to take your organs.
Oh my
what would they
God.
take your organs for? I mean, with fava beans? Who knows?
With Fabio?
Right? I mean, seriously.
That guy was an
So, I
alien.
mean, it's like Carol Merrill has 3 doors. Let's pick one. Oh, no, let's pick the logical one. There is the authority of good, and there's the authority of not so good.
Do people not know what to go to us with UFO stories? I haven't heard that
Well,
since the paranoid schizophrenic that I ran
It's
into.
okay. We need to cover...
Well, Ken, I
Not
see
lately.
here that Dawn wants to hear what I have to say about it.
well,
Oh, yeah. Well, do it since you already understand it.
that's right.
Oh, tell that story, too, Deb. There's
please
time.
do, Deb, because, we're talking about spears, and I'm meat and cheese, so...
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, Dawn, this is a shout-out to you.
Yeah.
My personal feelings are, because I have seen it myself, okay, I feel that aliens and all the spacecraft is of a demonic nature. Now, you have to remember that demons are very intelligent, okay? And when they're using the spacecraft, that's their way of traveling.
Yeah.
So I do believe, that's my opinion, I do believe it, because I have seen it.
That's your opinion. You're sticking with it. Here's the darker part
well, I
of it.
can get into depths of it, but I'm not going to do it now. We only have a few minutes.
Mike runs over this stuff, and he wishes he would be able to run over it with a car. Like going to Burning Man.
Right.
You could just play Carmageddon there. I mean,
Oh, my God. I know he needs like a tank, man.
The military
He needs like a big
people-
I heard, but I
tank.
think they were from... Yeah.
here it is. I know. It's like, it's hard to,
Oh, my gosh, you guys.
we're desensitized to some of the stuff. Not this,
Big
though.
time.
This is really a dark part of the UFO phenomenon. Remember, they have like first encounters, second encounters, third encounters of first kind, whatever, second encounters, Okay, when you get to where there's supposedly a demon by your, alien by your bed, what you end up with is the phenomenon that we'll say the fifth kind, I guess, where it's not just possession or something like that. Well, how about the girls, the women, who say they got impregnated, if they remember it? Most of the time they don't.
Like Scully on
And
the
then-
X-Files.
Then it disappears. We find out the satanic people do this stuff, and they'll do it in a rural area, and they'll drug the person, and then when they sleep, they do it to them. The high priest, rapes her, and then they come back later when she's gotten more full term, and it just mysteriously disappears because they perform not a C-section, though, the whole time while she's asleep. And they can also, because they might wake up and be groggy, they use what's that truth serum stuff that stuff that's really high.
Not phenobarbital.
Sodium
pentothal.
Yeah, and they do like a
sodium.
hypnotic suggestion to say it's UFO aliens, because the people are going to blow it off when it's UFO aliens. They don't take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's guys in hoods and robes and stuff, and
totally.
But that's what we found out, and it's not just like an idea; it is a fact. It's not like
it's true.
People made it up, and that's why I just thought this is something for Mike to go to too, because it's
You want him to play with aliens?
Somehow or another, some of the people saw through the cloud of darkness and figured it out.
Weirdo.
Because of memories or God's will or whatever, that they weren't able to totally conceal it from everybody. But it makes sense. Because who's going to have an immaculate conception from a UFO alien? It's like they're carrying the seed of given to mankind that reproduce and regenerate, and they'll look like big bug-eyed aliens. I know we heard that's where you get the conspiracy theories or the legends, like the New Jersey Devil and stuff. There's no proof that anything but a high priest can rape a woman and come up with some sort of monstrous thing because they consecrated a baby to Satan and it has deformity. Like a demon comes down on them, like the Nephilim said in the Book of Enoch. Like they're going to carry a human sperm somehow or another, just because they borrow it through the means of a succubus raping a young man. No, it's not. It's not possible. No. And everybody we know out there, and that's what's good about it, having a lot of contacts, says it's not possible theologically. They never heard of it happening, and it just seems like it's legend because people were lacking information. They formed their own opinions, like with UFOs. When they can't explain it through one means, they use another.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What's that, Liz?
I see like this blue flashing across my screen. I see like these hearts, and it's like blue and blue and blue.
Blues are going.
We still got 5 minutes.
Oh my gosh! Can I make a comment about the cute little alien thing?
Yes, you can. The cute little aliens. Right. Well, how about the dark ones?
I was like, no, I like the cute ones because the cute ones are inventory. Okay.
How about Paul from that one movie?
Oh, Paul! Oh my gosh, weirdo.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, listen.
Sorry, folks, out there.
Okay, I went to school in New Mexico. Okay, weird places there. The desert, perfect place for aliens. Why? Because the day makes all the sand hot, super hot, causes mirages. Nighttime cools down quickly, compresses air. So you've got two things operating for you. You've got, shall we say, visual anomalies, and you have physical anomalies from coyotes, things wandering around at night. All right, so you've got that. You also have a great deal of Satanism, sacrifice in the sand, dripping blood into the sand, the sacrifice of witchcraft. You've got a lot of stuff going on. What you have to remember, folks, is when you're looking at aliens, chances are it is, shall I say, a hallucination, because an alien is a construct. Okay, guess what? Go look in the mirror if you want to see an alien. You're an alien. Right. You don't belong here. So whatever the
hell I don't, Farah.
I know, right? Okay, so if you're trying to think of a little gray or a little thing with big eyes or whatever that's staring back at you going, I want your organs, that is a construct, okay?
Now, we have synthesizers,
if you read the most learned...
It gets synthesized, yeah.
Exactly. If you read the most learned men on, aficionados of evil, what are they going to tell you? Your mind cannot possibly make up something you have not already seen. All right? Yeah. So, it doesn't matter if you saw it when you're 2 months old. It doesn't matter if you saw it when you're 20 years old and you don't remember it. The devil can never use anything against you that's not already in your head. So, if you're seeing aliens, chances are you've seen it before. And why are you afraid of it? The devil's an opportunist. He is going to take anything. I don't care if it's a pinprick, if it's drawing blood, if it is a little gray man jumping on you and going, I'm going to eat your liver. Or let's say it's a nightmare where you saw a shooting star and you thought it was the end of the world, and you thought, that is a long shooting star. It looks like an egg shape. It's in the air. Oh, looks like a spaceship. Oh, no. So, taking aliens from the perspective of your imagination. Now, let's say 5,000 people just saw that thing in the air. Does that mean it's an alien? Oh, heck no.
Especially not.
Our government right now, folks, is up to some of the strangest stuff. We have no idea what they're doing.
Right.
Not only are they doing strange things with satellites, with technology, with people going around the Earth, they're doing things at the speed of light, the speed of sound. I mean, all these crafts, okay? How are they going to do it? Are they going to do it and say, hey, by the way, pay attention to Fort Lauderdale. We're going to be launching one of our latest, greatest, under the covers kind of things so we can spy on the Russians? No, they're not going to let you know. They're going to do it in the middle of the night when they think nobody's looking, and then it's going to burn up, and they're going to go, oh, we don't know what that was. Must have been an alien spacecraft. Okay, how wrong am I, Michael?
Not off. It's just I tell you how the people I worked with who were alien abductees, when we got down to it, there was SRA underneath the parts that came up, and they wanted to shut it down. They wanted to shut me down right away. That's not true. That's not true. I go, hey, all I asked was a simple question. You have people respond and gave it. Yeah.
Because okay, now this is where theology and logic and reasoning comes in. Okay, folks. Let's say you're a billionaire. Or let's just say you're a waitress at a little cafe stop somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Why is an alien going to come and steal your body parts?
Right.
This alien lives millions of miles away.
Rather.
He is much more brilliant than you. You are inferior. You are nothing more than food. Why doesn't he just eat you and leave the planet? But that would take a genius to figure that out.
He's not through with us yet. That's
and
why.
They're so smart. Why are they still using the same
Deb.
probing the same parts after all this time?
Why do they want cow body parts?
That's the satanic ritual to harvest, I think. I forgot the name of it. But they take a piece of straw and they probe your crevices, we'll say. And people say that's an alien with a probe, and that's a satanic ritual.
I know.
And they came all this way to do that.
That's the reason why, Ken, I will not have a colonoscopy.
Yeah, you better not. It might be the doctor doing that. Just kidding. And
I'm not going to touch that. I'm not going to touch that. I'm not going to touch that.
Yeah.
Not with a probe.
Okay,
not with a probe.
Okay. What we were discussing earlier. Why do you think the whole entire United States of America has the flu? To me, that seems a little bit government controlled.
I honestly have to tell you, Deb.
No, you got to say that for another show.
Okay, we're going to save it for another show because we're already at 10 after.
Yeah,
and Deb,
we'll do it in world news.
I would like to cover this, and maybe we can get Kevin to call in for a few minutes because he does a lot of research on this stuff, and I know Michael's got some good input on this.
Yeah.
But let's save that question for next week if we can, and we will talk about alien probes.
I can remember it.
Not exactly.
Okay, alien probes sailing in the sky.
No, I got to the Great Masquerade is what you got to remember. Whatever it fits, and I heard someone saying this the other day on YouTube or whatever, one of the priests that we know, and he said the same thing I've been saying for a long time, and it's important to say it. And it came out there, and don't be afraid to step on the UFO enthusiast too.
Thank you.
And it says, it's like if you're someone who's not going to be, you're not a father, you're a teenager, you're into UFOs and conspiracy theories or whatever and all that, and you're not, you're kind of loose in your faith. You're gonna, you might receive, if you're a teenage boy, it might be a succubus appearing as a ghost girl.
Exactly.
Or it'll be a UFO alien trying to draw your curiosity first in the distance and then eventually more close and personal. Always suspect it is first. It's safe because these aren't humanoids. They're great. They have the descriptions of demons from the days of old. They have the old documents and the old archives.
Exactly.
The historical descriptions, big eyes, little nose, little mouth, telepathic, those are details of demons. Showing up at night, 3 a.m., all of the symptoms there, sleep paralysis. How do they do all this stuff? They run in the name of Jesus?
Right.
Like the priest said, why would they run in the name of Jesus?
Why is right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. All right, you guys, listen. All right, we're also on YouTube, so go to our YouTube, subscribe to us, The Reel Deals. YouTube.com/The Reel Deels. Follow us on Facebook right here at Kenneth and Farah Deel OFS. Find us on Twitter, Instagram, although you know what, I'm kind of lazy. I've been sick for 3 weeks. And as you know, we've got books. We've got all kinds of cool prayer stuff, prayer beads and everything else. And you can always track Deb down. That doesn't mean she's going to answer you. Michael, he's out in the desert grooving with his kid, enjoying the fine weather that we're not enjoying. But trust me, Michael Norton, he's always ready, willing, and able to help you. We're so blessed to have him. Christopher Sampson. And you know what? And tonight, kids, when you lay your head down, if you've got a father, you pick up the phone and you say, hey, Dad, I love you. Zulma, Falcon, Matos, listen, you lost your dad. We love you. God bless your dad. Prayers for the peaceful repose of his soul, sweetie. And I'm so sorry you had to go through that, Zulma. But Zulma's friends with a lot of us. So say a little prayer for his dad or her dad tonight, please, guys. And thank you for all the hearts. We love them. And thank you, Michael. Thank you, Dad. You guys are so wonderful.
That's same time, same channel.
God bless you too, cuteness. What's the name of our channel? Are you? What kind of Kool-Aid you drinking?
The Reel Deels.
Reel Deels.
Exactly. The Real Pills.
On Facebook,
the Real Pills.
On Twitter.
Take one and you'll never see things the same again.
On YouTube, it's The Reel Deels.
Take 2 and you'll totally
and
lose
it's
it.
TheReelDeals.com online.
Take 5 and you're going to jump off the cliff and hope you live. Thank you, guys. Thank you for all the fun. Oh, my gosh, Cecilia, I see all your little blue faces. And you, Doris. You insane little puppies. Oh, my gosh, look at you guys go. We love you, Mike. We love you, Christopher Sampson.
Yes.
Good night, all.